Amateur video footage reportedly shows people gathering around what is said to be the wreckage of a Russian helicopter in the Syrian province of Idlib. In a statement, the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed a military helicopter on a humanitarian mission was shot down in the area, killing the 5 Russian military personnel on board. So far, nobody has claimed the responsibility. But around 40 kilometers from the crash site, rebel groups are staging an offensive to break a government siege on rebel-held parts of eastern Aleppo. Pro-government forces on the ground are being supported by heavy airstrikes in the area. This is now Russia's 3rd helicopter lost in the Syrian operation. In November 2015, it was a helicopter which took part in the rescue of the pilot shot down by the Turkish Air Force.
Shifting our focus, less than a full day after the Islamic State militant group called for more terror attacks against Christians and launched a bizarre attack on the Pope, the extremist and militant group is now threatening to kill Russian President Vladimir Putin.
The message was quite explicit. A 9-minute-long video was posted on social media by an alleged Islamic State member. Although verification of its authenticity cannot be made independently, according to Reuters, the link to the footage was published on a Telegram messaging account used by the militant group. The Islamic State militant group has also called for a jihad, a religious warfare against Christians. The cover of the latest issue of the group's propaganda magazine called Dabiq displayed an ISIS member ripping a cross off the roof of a church, bearing the title, "Break the Cross." The magazine cited the latest attacks in Orlando, France, Germany, and Bangladesh as prominent examples of a successful and necessary attack against Christians, labeling them as, quote, the cross worshippers and democratic pagans of the West. Pope Francis was also the subject of threats by the Islamic State, as the group exclaimed he has been, quote, hiding behind a deceptive veil of goodwill toward Muslims.
Pope Francis says he doesn't like to refer to violence carried out by Muslims as Islamic violence because there's violence carried out by people from all religions. The Pope told reporters, if I talk about Islamic violence, then I also have to talk of Catholic violence. Not all Muslims are violent, just like not all Catholics are violent. He explained that he reads stories in newspapers all the time about Catholics committing violence against a girlfriend or mother-in-law. His comments were in response to questions about the recent terror attack at a church in France. The attackers, who claimed they were with ISIS, killed a priest. He went on to say that terrorism has grown because the world economy worships the god of money, and people feel they have no other option. The Pope's rhetoric on extremists is somewhat similar to the Obama administration's. The president and his staff have avoided the term Islamic extremism and instead called terrorists violent extremists. White House aides say that's to avoid making it sound like the U.S. is at war with the whole of Islam, which is what terrorist groups want.
Just a matter of time until a terror attack occurs in Britain. That's the direct warning from the head of London's Metropolitan Police.
Now, all of this at a time when it's being reported here in the British press that there's only one extremist currently placed under a so-called anti-terror order. Now, these anti-terror orders are something that's part of the terrorism prevention and investigation measures, so-called TPIMs, which include things such as electronic tags or house arrests and curfews and having to report back to the police about your whereabouts, and only one person currently under such an order, despite the fact that we've been hearing from officials that there are around 2,000 potential extremists currently in the UK. All of this, of course, raising lots of eyebrows, and critics are aghast.
ISIS is training at least 50 British children to be the next generation of Islamic terrorists. A report from a European security agency called the Killam Foundation says as many as 50 children from the United Kingdom are growing up on jihad in Islamic State, and no prior research examines what will happen to them if they choose to return. The report also says many jihadists are women from the UK who eventually give birth in ISIS territory. Their children are born into Islamic Jihad and are groomed to become terrorists.
Gunfire once again filled the morning air in Kabul today as the Taliban launched an attack on the Northgate Hotel, a large international compound near Kabul's airport. A massive truck bomb ripped through the hotel's outer security wall, killing one police officer. The blast was so powerful, this man says, it threw me about a meter from my bed. Taliban fighters then tried to storm the hotel. After 4 hours, Afghan police repelled the attack, killing all 3 militants. None of the hotel's customers were injured. Security across the country remains fragile as the Taliban continue to make gains. While today's attack comes a week after ISIS claimed credit for an explosion that killed 80 people from Afghanistan's Shiite Hazara minority group. With the security situation deteriorating, President Obama recently abandoned his plan to reduce the size of the American military force in Afghanistan, deciding instead to keep 8,400 U.S. troops there until the end of his term. Previously, he said he hoped to reduce the number to 5,500 by 2017.
If these terrorists succeed in regaining areas and camps where they can train and plot, they will attempt more attacks against us. We cannot allow that to happen.
Also new at noon, we are learning that the U.S. has launched multiple airstrikes against ISIS militants in Libya. Today, a government official said in a televised statement that U.S. warplanes attacked the ISIS stronghold of Sirte. The Defense Department said in a statement the strikes were in support of government forces fighting ISIS militants. This is the first time the U.S. military has helped Libya fight ISIS.
Now, Turkey has threatened to pull out of its refugee deal with the European Union if the bloc doesn't deliver visa-free travel to Turks by mid-October. Speaking to German media, Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu said agreement on stemming the refugee flow has succeeded thanks to Ankara's serious measures. He said the Turkish government is waiting for a precise date for visa liberalization for its nationals. Visa-free access to the EU is seen as a main reward for Ankara's cooperation in stopping the influx of asylum seekers into Europe. But the measure has been delayed due to dispute over Turkish human rights issues. European Commissioner Günther Oettinger has said that Turks are not likely to be granted visa-free travel this year due to Ankara's crackdown following the mid-July coup attempt in the country.
America's elites tend to go to college, and unfortunately today's colleges lean left. Way left. A government report found at top universities, college professors who donate to politicians, 99% give to Democrats. Fox's Jesse Waters confronted some Cornell students about that. This student described his campus this way.
Very diverse campus, a bunch of different people from a bunch of different backgrounds.
96% of the donations from faculty here went to Democrats.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? His cluelessness is what's wrong. You can't get a complete education if almost all your teachers think one way. The statistics are remarkable. UCLA periodically studies how full-time faculty members in universities self-identify. And on the far left, it's gone from 8.8% to 12% who say far left. Liberals gone 47%, conservatives 15%, on the far right less than 1%.
The bill's sponsor, State Senator Ricardo Lara, says his priority is LGBTQ student safety. Since the federal government decided Title IX would include sexual orientation and gender identity, Lara believes faith-based schools that requested a religious exemption now have a, quote, license to discriminate. In a press release, Lara cites one school that refused to readmit a student who came out as gay during a leave of absence. Other schools, he says, have denied, quote, gender-appropriate housing to transgender students. Attorney Greg Baylor says the bill threatens to undo the very core and mission of Christian higher education.
The California government is proposing this legislation that would, at the end of the day, force these schools to choose between continuing to participate in state student aid programs and maintaining their religious identity.
If the bill passes this month and the governor signs it, lawsuits are likely that could easily end up at the Supreme Court. At stake, constitutional principles like freedom of religion and freedom of association. This bill could also mean a loss of choice for low-income students, unable to afford to attend a Christian college without state aid.
Controversy is brewing over a hotel ad published in the June issue of Travel and Leisure. And now the American Family Association has launched a petition against Hilton Worldwide. The hotel chain's ad features two men happily lying in a bed together. On Monday, AFA wrote on its website, Hilton chose to make a cultural and social statement by purposely marketing the promotion of homosexuality to a large segment of the population who finds the idea of two men sleeping together unnatural and offensive. Over 46,000 people have signed the petition, urging Hilton to meet with pro-family leaders over the matter. Hilton defended the image, responding to AFA, Hilton Worldwide is a global company of diverse cultures serving diverse guests. We are proud to depict and reflect our guest diversity in our advertising.
Thousands of people lined the streets of downtown Vancouver on Sunday for the city's annual Pride Parade. The theme of this year's Pride Week is Better Together. Now in its 38th year, Pride shines a rainbow on Vancouver's gay, lesbian, and transgender communities. It spreads the message that everybody is equal and deserves to be loved and respected regardless of their gender.
Pride is all about diversity and celebrating the uniqueness that everybody in the gay community has. So that's why it's so important.
According to the organizers, nearly 500,000 come out each year to the parade. Among them was Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau marching Sunday with his family. Trudeau became the first ever sitting Canadian Prime Minister to march in Vancouver's Pride Parade. The event seems to grow larger every year and has become Western Canada's largest parade. It's also one of the largest street parties across all of Canada and the United States. The parade organizers say the event generates millions of dollars for the local economy.
A solemn ceremony at the University of Texas at Austin today marked 50 years since Charles Whitman opened fire from the campus clock tower, killing 16 people.
Victims were cut down on the west and south sides of the campus.
On the anniversary of one of the first mass shootings, a controversial Texas law allowing concealed handguns in public university classrooms went into effect. Officials at the University of Texas opposed the law.
The more guns, the more danger.
UT professor Joan Newberger is concerned about its impact in her classroom.
Guns are designed to hurt people. And if you don't know if someone has a gun, you don't know if you're in danger.
Newberger fears professors and students will shy away from controversial topics.
We want students to be passionate about what they have to say.
Without worrying
that someone might pull a gun and shoot you.
But the law does come with some restrictions. Gun owners must comply with the state's concealed carry requirements, which include being at least 21 and passing classroom and training courses. Antonia Okafor, who plans to carry at UT Dallas's campus next year, says nothing could be further from the truth.
These people are not monsters. These people are not, once they get this license to carry, it means a license to kill. Obviously not.
She says 7 other states already have similar laws and points to the recent flurry of mass shootings as another reason to allow concealed guns.
The important thing is that me as an individual, I am able to protect myself. A law-abiding citizen, I'm able to protect myself against someone who's trying to harm me.
3 UT Austin professors have filed a lawsuit seeking to stop the law before classes begin here later this month.
They should be dreaming about becoming doctors or teachers, farmers or artists, but that is not the case in Gaza. A new report reveals kindergarten students there are being taught the exact opposite. Instead of dreaming of living, they're dreaming of dying.
You're watching the graduating class at the Islamic Al-Huda kindergarten in Gaza. The research group Memory posted the video after finding it on the kindergarten's YouTube account and Facebook page. The video showed the children dressed up in Islamic Jihad fatigues, handed mock assault rifles, and beginning to go through military drills. The young commandos staged an attack on an Israeli tank. They planted mines and launched mortar shells. Then comes a simulated raid on an Israeli army base. First, they kill the sentry, then enter the base and emerge with a kidnapped Israeli soldier as their prisoner. Some of the action incorporates helmet cam footage. This reveals the type of training given to some young Palestinian children. The goal is to train children to become future soldiers against Israel, the Zionist enemy. The teenage MC of the event left no doubt of their mission.
More than 60 organizations affiliated with the Black Lives Matter movement has issued a list of demands calling for policing and criminal justice reforms. The agenda is titled A Vision for Black Lives, Policy Demands for Black Power, Freedom, and Justice. Michaela Brown, a spokeswoman for Baltimore Bloc, said in a statement, quote, "We seek radical transformation, not reactionary reform," end quote. She then said that the 2016 election is providing a platform for social justice and a manner to intervene with the problems that are occurring today. The agenda outlines 6 demands and offers 40 recommendations on how to address them. For example, to address criminal justice reform, movement organizers suggest ending the type of militarized police presence at protests.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Officer Warner with Halifax Police Department. Are you aware of why I pulled you over today? No. Are you familiar with vehicle code 1739? Well, it's actually against the law to drive on a hot day without an ice cream cone.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I was nasty.
On behalf of the Halifax Police Department, we're just making sure that everybody's following all the laws today and are driving with ice cream cones. Like I said, I'm Officer Warner. This is Chief of Police Lance here in Halifax. And we just wanted to make sure you guys were in compliance.
Y'all have a wonderful day.
Are you okay?
Oh my God!
Well, you guys have a great day.
Have a good day, brother.